Welcome back to Mean Streets, a podcast where we investigate the best, worst, and forgotten movies of film noir. I'm Luke Deckard.
And I'm Matthew Booth.
And we are your cinematic sleuths, and it's time to crack another case. Matt, what case has been slapped on our desks this week?
Well, today's file is 2005's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, starring Robert Downey Jr., Val Kilmer, written and directed by Shane Black, who is an old friend of this podcast. And the IMDb logline is, after being mistaken for an actor, a New York thief is sent to Hollywood to train under a private eye for a potential movie role. But the duo are thrown together with a struggling actress into a murder mystery.
Bang,
nice summary.
Bang.
Nice summary of a plot.
Yeah. It's a good one. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Do you remember when it came out? Did you watch it when it came out?
I didn't actually. I didn't watch it when it came out. But I do remember the first time I saw it, and that was a friend of mine bought me the DVD. Not so long, so it can't be long after it came out, or there'd been a couple of years perhaps. And he said, "You will like this. Just watch it and go with it. You will like it." And I did watch it, and I remember liking it.
Oh, you remembered liking it.
I remembered liking it. I've not seen it since. I've not watched it a second time until preparation for this. So it was interesting to come back to it.
Yes. Well, back in 2005, this was not on my radar whatsoever. I don't remember when I first saw it. I want to say I was probably had moved to the UK. By that point, because it came out in 2005, and it must have been sometime when I was over here. By the time I moved over here, but I remember watching it somewhere at some point in time, and I remember loving it when I did.
Right,
and it's always been one of those films that, when people ask, what are some of your favorite films? It's not one that I rewatch often, but it's one that sort of hangs in my memory, and I'm always like, that is always a good one. Every time I rewatch it, I'm always happy that I've watched it. It's never a regretful rewatch, that's for sure.
No, absolutely not. And having watched it in preparation for this, I was much, I don't know, for whatever reason, I don't know what the reason is, I was much more amenable to it. I think, older and wiser perhaps. But I thought, I think I'll watch that again. When we've done the episode, just to, because you watch it in a different way, don't you, in preparation for the episode? And I thought, we should just watch this as a film again. Just because I enjoyed it very much. It was a good ride, but I remember watching it on the DVD thinking, it was okay. And I wonder if that's like a psychological thing in me, that when someone says, "You will love this," I sort of instinctively say, "Will I?" That's a big sell. And the reason for that, I think, is because somebody once said to me, you must go and see The Sixth Sense. It's got a great twist, and you'll absolutely love it. And when I watched it, I could see the twist coming a mile away. So it sort of failed for me. So I'm always a bit cautious of people telling me that I will like something, if you know what I mean. That's a very sort of miserable old man thing to say, but it's true. So I watched it under different circumstances.
Yeah, it's the hype. It's the expectations that get really heightened when someone is like that. It's like nowadays on Twitter. I mean, when something comes out that everyone's like they're loving, and you're like, okay, I kind of excited, but I'm trying to manage my expectations. But oh no, and then you watch it and you're like, oh, that was just kind of average, I guess. It's. I mean, I could rattle off about 50 Marvel films that people have overhyped that I've seen. I'm like, did I watch the same movie as you? Is there something wrong with me?
Well, that's it. Yeah, that's it. And I think you're probably right that if somebody just said to me, "Watch this, it's pretty good," then I would have had a different reaction. I think but it was oversold to me. I think that probably is the problem. Whereas this time,
Go on.
Well, I was just saying this time I watched it thinking, Yeah, I sort of remember this one. This. So let's give it another go. I remember laughing at it, first time around.
Yeah.
So I thought, we'll give this, we'll just watch this again. And then got a whole different experience.
Yeah. It's also like one of those things where maybe this isn't the kind of film you go into cold. Context is probably good. I mean, knowing the director can give you a little bit of context, but this is different to Black's other work. It's quite different to Lethal Weapon, and in many ways. But it's it's so I think that could also have played into that initial viewing of yours. If you went in thinking this is the guy who did Lethal Weapon, and this is really nothing like Lethal Weapon, but
yeah, quite.
There are shades of like style and writing style that are kind of similar, but what the theme is and the sort of fourth wall breakingness of this is very, very different.
Yeah, and I was not prepared for any of that, you see. So
yes,
first time. So
yeah.
I enjoyed that a lot more this time around because I wasn't expecting necessarily like a comedy when I watched it first time around.
Sure.
Because again, it had not been sold to me as a comedy. It had been sold to me as a noir.
Yes.
It's a private eye, it's noir, you'll like it. So I was, your expectations then are something quite different.
Yes.
And that can sometimes have a negative effect on your reaction to things.
It's like if you never had seen Roger Rabbit and someone was like, oh, here's this movie about this whiskey-soaked private eye who's got his like, solve a murder, and you're like, great, and then suddenly it's all these cartoons are there, and you're like, wait, there's a rabbit? Oh my god, what's Bunny doing?
Yeah, it is exactly like that. Yeah, it's exactly like that. So I think it was missold. I think the moral of this sorry tale is that it was slightly missold to me. So the experience was not the right one, should we say?
Sure. I guess we can go behind the camera and talk about how this sucker got made, because it's a pretty interesting story, I think. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang came out cinematically on October 21st, 2005. It cost $15 million, and its box office return was $15 million. Which is a bit of a shame, but
it is a shame that.
Jumping ahead slightly, it didn't get a big release anywhere. The US or the UK, its release was very limited, which is what do you expect when you don't have a big release, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But Shane Black is the writer director of this piece. It is his directorial debut. This is his first outing as a director, and I mean, hey, I think he did a dang good job.
I was just going to say, I think it's pretty accomplished for a first out director. Very much so.
Yeah. I mean, it's 2005. The guy's been working in Hollywood since the 80s. I mean, it's interesting sometimes because I think about like X-Men. I think about Dark Phoenix. I think the last of the X-Men movies. I think that was the last one. That was directed by Simon Kinberg, who was a producer on most of the X-Men movies. And then he found his way to the director's seat for this final film. And boy, was that a stinker.
Yeah.
And you're sort of like, wow, you've been around this whole time. And then this is there are other factors obviously that could have contributed to that film being so terrible. But that I'm saying this to say that just, even though Black had been in the business for, 20 years at this point.
20 odd years.
You would think that he would be accomplished, and he was. He's the kind of artist that's, I think, masters his craft, because even his other films that I don't like, for example, The Predator, crapola. Which is a disappointment because he was in the first. Shane Black is an actor in the first Predator movie, and I thought of all the people to bring a spark of life to the Predator franchise, he would be the one to do it. It didn't happen, but It was visually interesting. It looked good. It looked cool.
It does look good.
Had good action and stuff, but the story was just. And again, this is one of those things where it's like, is this Black's fault, or is this studio's fault. And
well, you're never sure, are you? You can never be sure unless there's a story out there that says one way or the other. You can never be sure, can you? Because all too often you hear, you know, what got made was not what I wrote, sort of thing. You know, and I mean, filmmaking is notorious for changing scripts. You know, whatever is written isn't necessarily what gets made. That's always the case.
Yeah.
But it's when the dailies are shown, when the rough cuts are shown, the studio say, no, this has got to come out, and this has got to come out, because we've talked about it before. We won't go over it again, but for the not wanting to take risks or whatever it might be, when those money men start like chipping away, that's when the real problems start for me. And you just never know. And you know, can a man who makes a film like this and a film like The Nice Guys and all the rest of it have such a bad day at the office that he produces The Predator? I don't know. We all have bad days.
But the big difference between those examples are versus Predator is big franchise.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And these other things, he cracks.
He's in control
when he's doing his original stuff, I think.
So I think the word franchise is the answer to this particular conundrum, because there are, by definition, there are too many people involved.
Possibly. So for those who don't know, obviously we talked about Shane Black in detail on our Lethal Weapon episode. So there's a lot you can unpack from going back to that. That really focused a lot on his writing of Lethal Weapon. But for those who don't know, just a little bit about Black. He really became famous in the 80s through the 90s as a screenwriter. His big hits around that time were, as we said, Lethal Weapon, The Last Boy Scout, and The Long Kiss Goodnight. It was The Long Kiss Goodnight, which came out in the 96, I believe. That was the one that kind of he started to. It didn't perform very well at the box office, and not necessarily as a result of that, but around this time, he then took a break from Hollywood. He took about 8 years out of this sort of hiatus, this sort of, you know, I read a couple of different things. There was some suggestions of working on himself, health reasons and things like that. But he continued to do, you know, some writing work and some script doctoring work and whatnot. But it seems like the connection seems to be the Long Kiss Goodnight not making the box office that was expected kind of resulted in him getting a little bit maybe frustrated, but also needing to do some personal things to, you know, set himself on track.
Yeah, recharge batteries maybe. You know, I read something similar. You know, that he just said, "Well, need to walk away from this now."
Yeah,
you know, just for a bit,
but also those hints of maybe needing to cut back on the booze. I don't know if any of that's true. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But yeah. So all that kind of stuff just sort of seemed to happen around the time of The Long Kiss Goodnight. It didn't tank, but it didn't make what it needed to make.
It didn't set the world on fire, did it?
No, I think it was made for about 60 something and made about 90 something. So
yeah,
it didn't really probably make its money back. For
not even taking into account everything else. No, that you know, all the marketing stuff. It probably didn't.
Yeah, but he continued to write, and his the next big project that he did was Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Now, this is interesting to me. So the book, it's based on a book or inspired by a book by Brett Holiday. But the level to which it is inspired by that is interesting. But he didn't actually set out to write a film based on a book by Brett Holiday. He actually was setting out to write a character romance, something more along the lines of Broadcast News, which was made by James L. Brooks, that is the creator of the Simpsons. And there were similar elements to what I understand. It involved a crook who falls into an audition room and then gets sent to Hollywood for a role, and it's sort of all about the kind of the glitz and the glam of Hollywood. Shane, said in an interview, it's kind of once upon a time in Hollywood sort of stuff, but it just wasn't working. It just wasn't working, I guess. Because his mentor at the time was James L. Brooks.
Yeah.
And Brooks was, reading these scripts, and it just seemed like it was directionless. He didn't really know what the story was. He just had all these scenes, and there was no drive behind any of it, which, that's always a big problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We've said about other films that on the show that it's just, they seem to be collections of scenes that are just put together with no tissue holding them together. They're just sort of scene after scene after scene, and that's the impression I get, that he was going through with these drafts, and each one, the impression I got was each one was worse than the last one, and it was just going it was getting progressively worse and losing focus. So something's got to change, and something's got to give.
Yeah. And Brooks suggested that in terms of the protagonist, he suggested that he should think about Jack. He should imagine Jack Nicholson from As Good as It Gets playing Jack Nicholson's role in Chinatown.
I think that's a great idea.
Yes, which I love that, and that's when things started to click for him, because he was like, He then included the detective element and the murder, and that's when stuff clicked. And he's quoted as saying, he's like, I said, fuck it, I have to put a murder in it. And then he added the PI Gay Perry, and that's when things just really, really started to click. And as we said, it's loose. The script is apparently loosely based on a Brett Holiday book called Bodies Are Where You Find Them, which is part of the Mike Shane detective books. Now, this is a 1941 book. I think most people who read the Holiday books or go looking at the synopsis are going to be like, how is this in any way based on?
Any way.
In any way. But I have answers to this, actually. So Shane, in an interview, was saying that he, at the time, while he was writing this, he was reading 2 Holiday books every 3 days. He was wolfing them down, because what he was doing, he was looking for clues. He was looking for clues that were in these books that he could then take and adapt. And he found things that worked, and he started to put them in. And for him, actually, he then optioned this book as part of it, but he admitted that there's very little of Halliday in there, but Halliday is one of his favorite authors. So the fact that he could just share a writing credit with one of his favorite authors is really cool. But he mentioned that it's the sanatorium aspect that was nicked from the Holiday books about a daughter. That is the thing, but that is such a small part of the actual film that you probably could have just been able to have gotten away with doing that, and it just been your story, regardless of it being a similar story elsewhere. But it won't
be the only book set in a sanatorium, with a scene in a sanatorium.
Or a swapped person,
he could have got away with it. But I think it's quite nice that he gives Halliday a credit.
Yeah, well, he wanted to. He opted.
I think it says a lot.
Yeah, he optioned the book, so he was going to do it, and I mean, look, if I had the opportunity to write something and I could slap Raymond Chandler's name or Robert B. Parker's name alongside mine,
you would, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Except he doesn't do the same. He doesn't give Chandler the same courtesy.
No, well, it's this. Yeah, we'll dive into that, but that is interesting because the chapters of this book, they are all based on titles from Raymond Chandler, and there are elements of Raymond Chandler. The Little Sister is a title, but also the Little Sister section involves a little sister who comes to Hollywood to find a sibling, a father, and it's like, okay, but he's not giving Chandler that credit, but it's fascinating. But I guess that's sort of Yeah. But I guess, I mean, apart from the little sister bit, where there is an actual little sister, I don't think there's anything in those other sections that narratively lift Chandler, but they thematically lift from those titles.
Yes. They are good. They are good Chandler titles to use to encapsulate what happens in the chapters they are attributed to.
Yes. Yeah.
But there's none of the Lady in the Lake plot, for example.
No, there's just a dead woman in the lake.
Other than a dead woman in a lake. Well, I mean, we've all, everyone's done that. That's not a Chandler original,
No.
And there's nothing of Trouble Is My Business, the short story Trouble Is My Business.
No.
In the opening section. So they're just nice chapter titles. But they are lifted, they are direct Chandler titles.
Yeah. So, which is fun. It's a cool nod. There's a lot of this is what I love about Black is his love of hard-boiled fiction and noir thriller, and the way he does such a good job with it. We loved Lethal Weapon. I love The Nice Guys. I love this film. Shane Black is really a one of a kind when it comes to this kind of storytelling today.
Yeah, he is. Very much so. I'd agree with that.
Now, Christmas is also a very big theme in his movies. And I did a little bit of digging. I wanted to, we didn't dive into this when we did Lethal Weapon, but I did a bit of digging to sort of find out why Christmas is such, because everything, I mean, it's Christmas in Lethal Weapon. It's Christmas in, obviously, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I don't remember if it's Christmas in The Long Kiss Goodnight, probably. It's Christmas in Iron Man 3. I have a feeling it's Christmas in The Predator. I have a feeling it's Christmas during that. But he loves Christmas, and it's quite fascinating. His inspiration came from watching a film, a Cold War thriller, 3 Days of the Condor, which is
a fabulous film.
Yeah, which was set at Christmas, but it's also very bleak. So he felt that the Christmas setting elevates these stories a little bit, because you have a stark contrast of the Christmas season is life, it's hope, it's magic, but you're dealing with death, corruption, and betrayal,
Yeah.
And so I really love that, and it sort of makes sense. I mean, you think about Iron Man; it's a happy Christmas film at the beginning, but then he's fighting for his life against international terrorists.
Yeah, I like the juxtaposition. I have to say, because bad things still happen at Christmas. The world doesn't go in sort of festive hold. You know what I mean? It's all very. Christmas is all very fake, isn't it? And it's just like goodwill to all men, but people are still being knifed in alleyways and betrayed and corrupted in all various ways. So I always get a similar feel with Batman Returns.
Yes,
which is why it's my favorite Christmas film.
Yes,
because it's about how dark everything is under the mistletoe, sort of thing. And I agree. I think it's a really strong juxtaposition, a narrative juxtaposition that can really pay dividends if you do it well, as he does, as Black does.
Yeah, I think so too. And I quite like what Christmas in LA is sort of like in his movies, because he phrased it as a sort of a postmodern Christmas. You have these naked Virgin Marys with nipple piercings. It's very irreverent, and I quite like that. It is a very, you have two characters in this film, Harmony and Harold, who are East Coast mid America from Indiana, representing Indiana, out in Hollywood, which to people in Indiana, I mean, there's the funny line where Val Kilmer's character, Gay Perry, says, and to those in the Midwest, we're sorry for saying fuck so much. because you just don't say it. That's such a bad word in the Midwest. And it's funny. It's funny shit. But yeah, you have this like these people, and you see them in the Chandler novels all the time. These Midwesterners who come to LA looking for hope and dreams and money and success, fame, and what they find is this dark, nasty place, sleaze. Yeah, and it's great.
Yeah, I love all that. That's one of the things that really chimes with me, and what really attracted me to Chandler in the first place. The fakery of it all, it promises the world, and it's where dreams come true, but you have to do nasty things to get there, and if you don't make it, nasty things happen to you. It's this, I think I've said this before, it's the snow white apple, beautiful and juicy on the outside, but rotten to the core inside. And it's Mulholland Drive, it's Lost Highway, it's David Lynch films all over the place, and all these noir stories, Chandler especially, about what Hollywood is really like. Films like Sunset Boulevard, films like even The Great Gatsby to a certain extent, where they're about the rottenness beneath the splendor. I think it's a powerful narrative trope. It really is, and it's what got me into this sort of fiction in the first place.
Yeah. So, I mean, the whole his sort of whole view of to kind of wrap up the Christmas stuff is it's all about, it's a season for, he's sort of described as chasing magic, which is also that sort of idea of people who come to Hollywood are chasing the magic of the lie that is the American dream, to go out and become a self-made individual. Therefore, it's interesting that the lead character in this, Harry, played by Robert Downey Jr., is a magician.
Yeah.
I think that's really fun, and I like the idea that he is, he's a defunct, he's a wannabe magician. He has magician skills, but his greatest trick is in this film is he's trying to pull off the act of being a hard-boiled mythic hero. Yeah. And overall, he's quite successsul in pulling off this magic trick.
Largely successful. Yeah. Largely successful.
He's able to find harmony. He's able to rekindle their relationship. He pulls off the big trick of reinventing himself. But I also love the fact that the book doesn't stop the bullet at the end of the movie. Absolutely. The bullet goes through the book and shoots him. But also the very beginning of the movie, what does he say? What does the opening narration say? Last Christmas, Harmony and I changed the world. We're not together anymore, though.
Yeah.
Because he pulled off the trick, but the magic ended.
The magic ends. Yeah, absolutely.
And I love that.
That's good. That's great screenwriting. That is great screenwriting. Well, it's great writing altogether. You could start a novel that way and end it that way as well, and it'd be a real kicker of a climax. It'd be superb.
It's Black's handling of theme that I think is so generally so excellent. He really knows how to focus his thematic journeys for his characters and for his overall films. I mean, you can look at Riggs's character arc throughout Lethal Weapon. That sort of self-destruction. Man who's lost everything and then finds a family. Yeah,
exactly.
Beautiful stuff.
Sharp. And you're right. It's his handling of theme, and also, I think it's his use of tropes that, in lesser hands, would look like rip-offs or would look like cliche. And I think there are things like Glass Onion and Knives Out, which do this similar things to what Black does with noir fiction, but with the golden age, but with none of the style, because they are all nicked and they're all fake and they're all, you look at Glass Onion, and I can name at least 2 films that is what they will say is paying homage to. What I say is stealing from.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Don't sue Mean Streets, a film noir podcast. Allegedly.
You know what I'm saying. And both those other films are ones that I would much rather watch than Glass Onion.
Yeah.
Because they do the same things but better. They do it in much cleverer ways. And all Glass Onion does for me is repeat them. Now, Black repeats noir tropes, but puts his own sort of seasoning on them and his own twist on them, so that you know what the trope is, but it appears fresh.
Yeah.
You know, and I think his handling of theme and trope are what set him apart.
Yeah.
What set him apart on like I say, in lesser hands would be sort of cheap thrillers, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. Another sort of blackism that is in this film is he's obviously famous for his odd coupling of his buddy cops, where they don't get on. And I again, this was some interesting insight into why he chooses these sorts of things. And for him, it's he kind of talks about how films where you have this buddy cop and you have the rogue and then the sensible one, and describes how both of these are really just the two sides of your brain talking to each other. Your sense and your common sense, and then your irrational self. And what is that? What are these two characters who represent these two parts of maybe yourself? What is that? What is that saying? What is that conveying? And how is that described throughout the dialogue? But it's also a way of sort of bringing into having a conversation with things that you are curious about, and things that maybe you were afraid of, that then you overcome that fear through your curiosity to then find out that this isn't something that you should be afraid of. Now, this is in relation really to this story where it comes to Gay Perry and Harry. And Harry is a homophobe. He's throughout the film, he's constantly about Gay Perry. Say, don't quit your gay job. He's saying things that are funny, but what you're learning from it is that Harry is a well-meaning individual, but he is a homophobe. But he's now forced to team up with a suave LA PI who just happens to be gay. And now this being Harry, being this Midwesterner who has his thoughts and opinions on that kind of lifestyle, or not lifestyle, but you know what I mean. Is sort of having to come to terms with and confront and understand something that he didn't initially understand,
Yeah.
And throughout the course of the movie, by the end of it, he's pointing, hey, what about that guy? They become friends. And this is what I love about Black's writing, and what he said in an interview that I saw, that it's this curiosity that then overcomes your fear of something, to then get to a place where actually you're not afraid of this thing, and you realize that you are friends. You can be friends. This can be, you can find, you can learn and you can understand each other, and you can build a genuine friendship. But it takes that element of curiosity, which is what Harry has. Harry has that curious element that, despite his sort of phobia, he pushes past to then at the end of the movie, he's working for Gay Perry.
Working for Gay Perry, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, all that is great. I mean, the buddy cop, it's another trope, isn't it? It's another trope. And very often they don't get on with each other, and then they learn to respect each other. But he does it in his own way. He like you say, it's all too often they sort of bond over the climactic fight, whereas all the time through this, Harry is learning about himself and about, like you say, things he's not actually come into contact with or rarely comes into contact with. So it all becomes character driven rather than just script needs you to cheer at the end. So they'll become friends at the end, which is what all happens in a lot of these mismatched buddy cop films. They don't actually become friends for any emotional reason, all too often. But in this, they do. In this, they definitely do. And it says a lot about Harry's character. It's informing the audience all the time about the changes that Harry is going through, and that is really, really skillfully done, really skillfully handled.
And you can see this throughout all of Black's most of his career. You can see he does this in Lethal Weapon. You can see he does this in The Nice Guys. To some degree, you can say he does it a little bit even in Iron Man 3 between Iron Man and the young kid.
A little bit, maybe, a little bit.
I
had a brief thought when I was watching this, thinking this is almost like I'm going to be a bit unfair, perhaps. This is almost like a dress rehearsal for The Nice Guys, because
yes,
that it's a very similar idea, and I just think maybe The Nice Guys does it slightly better for me, but there is 10 years or whatever there is between them, and he's learned more. This is like a sort of The Nice Guys is like a second roll of this dice for me.
Yes.
But without a shadow of a doubt, the brickwork is in this film, and it stands on its own 2 feet, definitely.
Yeah.
Again, it's a different way of looking at something that in lesser hands could be a cliche. There's just no other way of saying it,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair to say that this is sort of the precursor to The Nice Guys. I mean, Gabe Harry is clearly the Russell Crowe character. The more together of the two, and Robert Downey Jr.'s Harry is clearly the Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling.
They fall, but also, I mean, Michelle Monaghan's character Harmony, she is doing grammatical corrections, which is what March is doing with his daughter, who and stuff. Don't say and stuff. Just say there were whores here.
Yeah. I think it is. I think it's true, intentionally or otherwise. I have no idea if he did sort of think maybe I could do that idea better. No idea if he did or not. But when you look at the two together, they'd make a nice double feature, because they are sort of in a similar vein. Let's put it that way.
And they're two films that deserve sequels.
Both deserve sequels, yeah.
And it's crushing that we won't get one. And I think it's a good moment to say R.I.P. Val Kilmer, because
oh yeah, absolutely.
What a shame. I obviously, he had a long fight with an illness and stuff, but. We'll get on to Val Kilmer's performance here in a bit, but R.I.P. Val Kilmer, you are a fucking legend.
He is a legend, and he was a legend, and I will say this: he is brilliant in this. But we'll come on to him.
Show stealing for sure. So it took Black about 1.5 years to write this script. He was, and then he had trouble selling it. And this is despite the fact that he at one point was the highest paid screenwriter in Hollywood.
Yeah.
This is how Hollywood can turn on you. They don't give an SHIT about you and your previous work.
Absolutely.
If they don't want to do your next book, your next film, they ain't gonna do it.
Not gonna do it. They've moved on to the next guy. So
yes.
Really, he experiences what the very thing that writers like he and Chandler and Lynch say.
Yes.
He experiences Hollywood as they're trying to expose it.
Yes. Well, and the film does a good job of that. I mean, that whole kind of back and forth between Gabe Harry and Harry, where they're talking about, you're you being auditioned for this role is all a joke. It's so they can get Colin Farrell at a cheaper price. That's it. You were never going to get this role. And, Harry's like, well, no, I think, no, you dummy, you're not gonna get it. And it's like, that is it, and you have Michelle Harmony, who is, she's like, oh, that girl came out here to, but she's 35, she's washed up, she's done. And he's like, how old are you? 30, like she's 34.
34, I'm a baby, she says.
Yeah. And it's just like, you see how nasty and cutthroat things are, and it's satirical commentary on the Hollywood system, is smashingly done.
It's superbly done. Yeah.
But so he then took the script to Joel Silver, who anyone who would have listened to our Lethal Weapon podcast will know that he was the producer who bought Lethal Weapon. He thought, okay, I know Black, I trust him, let's get this done. Then the film kind of went into production. It was originally titled You'll Never Die in This Town Again, which was the title of the fictional PI books that Harmony was reading. And
I prefer it, I have to say.
It's a good title. I like both. I don't
I have nothing against Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and there's reasons why it's called Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, but
so I'm cool with both.
Yeah, we'll get onto this as well, but Kiss Kiss Bang Bang does work for what the film is saying. Absolutely. But I just think You'll Never Die in This Town Again is a great noir title, and that.
Yes. Warner Brothers picked it up. The budget was meant to be around 10 million, but it went over up to 15 million. It was Warner Brothers loved it. They loved the film. The screenings it was well received. It played at Cannes. It was great. And then I don't know why they gave it such a limited release. If they loved it, why was it barely promoted or put out? I just really don't understand. But
no,
whatever.
I don't understand it. Because I think it did better overseas, didn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I think it did pretty good over here in the UK. I don't know how far it went overseas, but it definitely was here and did decently. But there were other titles. They were going to call it LAPI. That didn't work. They were going to call it Bang, and then Val Kilmer was like, "Call it Kiss Kiss Bang Bang," and he was like, "Okay."
What do you think about LAPI?
Well, that's a very uninspired title. That is like working title.
That's a working title. Yeah.
Didn't like that. But I guess on casting, there were some interesting choices in the running for Downey's role of Harry. You can tell me what you think about these three that I'm aware of, at least. Benicio del Toro, Hugh Grant, and Johnny Knoxville.
Well, one stands out immediately to me because it would be an entirely different film if Hugh Grant did it.
Yes, but I think he could have pulled it off.
I'm not saying that doesn't. That's not to say I think it would have been a terrible film. I just think it would have been an entirely different film. I think it would have been much more comedic than it. I mean, it's very comedic in it already, but I think it would have been much more, and Harry would have been much more feckless, I think, and much more. Assuming Hugh Grant would do what he's famous for doing. I mean, he doesn't really do that anymore, does he? Now he's finding a niche for himself, playing sleazy, unpleasant, dangerous people at the minute. I mean,
except for his role in Paddington 2.
Apart from Paddington 2, yeah. But things like Heretic, he's fabulous in. But around this time, in sort of early 2000s, I think he was still probably trotting out his bumbling Englishman, and I wonder whether he would have done something more akin to that. But I think it would have been fun. I can't see Benicio del Toro doing it.
I can't either.
He's too. I think Harry has to be. For me, Harry has to be a bit hapless and a bit out of his depth, and Del Toro seems to me to be far too tough for what I think Harry needs to be. You know what I mean? Yeah. And Knoxville, don't know.
We recently watched The Ringer. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it's the movie where Johnny Knoxville plays a character who fixes the Special Olympics. It's
right, yeah,
very funny and incredibly irreverent, but also quite charming in places. But I watched it around this. I think it came out around this time. I watched it around this time. Thought it was funny. Teenager Luke thought it was funny, and was into it. When we watched it recently, just to sort of see, does it hold up? It doesn't hold up. Brian Cox is in it. He's probably the best thing in it.
That is often the case. Yes,
but Knoxville, he really wanted to be an actor and wasn't getting any acting work, and then, that's why he is just Jackass guy, because that's how he could find his celebrity, I guess. But anyway, Robert Downey got the role. He found out about it through his then girlfriend Susan Levin, who is now his wife, who was an assistant with Joel Silver. Now, this is the thing. This was really one of the films that helped rejuvenate his career, because he had been in prison for drug issues and things of that kind. There was a bit of a risk of, do we go with this guy? Do we not go with this guy? And so it was luckily they did, and by him doing this then led to the stepping stone that then allowed him to do Iron Man in 2008, which even Iron Man, there was skepticism about if he should or shouldn't, if they should or shouldn't let him take on that role. I think
Jon Favreau had seen this, hadn't he? And seeing a sort of fledgling Tony Stark in the performance.
He did. Yeah. But then as a huge thank you, Robert Downey Jr. got Shane Black to direct Iron Man 3. For all this, which I thought was great, and in my opinion, I actually quite enjoy Iron Man 3.
I like Iron Man 3. It's certainly better than Iron Man 2.
Light years better than Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 is dog shit.
Yeah. Although I don't profess to be an expert on either of them, but I do remember 2 being horrendous and 3 being interesting, and it was interesting because they took the suit off him.
Yes, he's just a guy on a mission.
It's just a bloke, it becomes a bit more of a sort of noir-y superhero film, because he's solving a mystery. He's solving a mystery with his wits rather than a whole load of guns and lasers.
It's great. I love it. I really genuinely love it.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, interesting.
I always, I think he was brilliant as Chaplin. I'm absolutely in awe of his performance as Chaplin. In Attenborough's biopic, because that is just something else. That is a man who sees an opportunity for his career to take off and grabs it with both hands, and you can tell the amount of work he's put into it. It's absolutely brilliant. But by and large, I don't rate him very much. But in this, I think he's really good. And I do think he's good as Tony Stark, and I think it's because Stark is probably closer to what he is like than he would care to admit, perhaps.
Maybe. No, I thought he was fantastic. He's fantastic in this. I do.
I think in this he's brilliant.
Very good actor.
Yeah, this is like a breath of fresh air. This for me, because he is so good in this. And again, like I say about Chaplin, I wonder if he was thinking, well, this is the time. I've really got to work at this to get the career back up and moving, and to get myself back on track after what has been a fairly long time of substance abuse and imprisonment. And I think he sees an opportunity of rejuvenating and takes it with both hands again. And you can tell how much he's putting into this role, and I think he's absolutely brilliant in it. It's a standout performance of his career, one of the standout performances of his career for me. But generally speaking, I'm not a great fan of him, really.
Wow.
But
well, damn, I am.
What can I say?
Jeez. I do. I really like Robert Downey Jr. I think for me, when I was watching this, it made me resent the Marvel Universe. I just thought we have been shortchanged a series of films that he could have starred in and been great in, because I love this. I love him in Zodiac. Iron Man 1 and 3 I enjoy. In Avengers, he's good in Avengers.
Zodiac. Yeah, you're right about Zodiac.
Yeah, he's good in. my at the time I liked the first Sherlock film, and I think there were moments in there where he shines. But but also I think he's also really funny in Due Date. I think that film is hilarious.
I've not seen that one.
The Judge as well is another fantastic film of his, where it's him and Robert Duvall. His dad is a judge and he's dying of cancer, and it's a bit of a drama piece. That I just thought was such a great film. So I do rate him, but I think the problem that we have, for me at least, is that his whole career then beyond this point really circled around Marvel to the point where 20 years later he's still in the Marvel universe now, about to play Doctor Doom or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that is. What did you say just a minute ago? Marvel overload or whatever it was that you said. Maybe it's that taints me against him. Because I'd forgotten Zodiac. He's great in that. So maybe he's one of those actors who can shine when the scripts are good ones that require him to do something, rather than just coast through a formulaic franchise. Do it for the money. Maybe it's that. Maybe it is that. Maybe it is that.
Maybe.
I'm actually, maybe I'm doing him a disservice, because I often forget that he's in Zodiac, and that's because he's sort of, he's not the star of it, is he? Really, that's Ruffalo and Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
So I often forget he's in that, but of course he's so absorbed in that character. Now I think about it, he's so absorbed in that character that he isn't necessarily something that will stand out, is he? Because he's not. He's a co-star, really. But the scenes he's in, especially when he's like, he becomes an alcoholic or whatever it is, they are good scenes. They are good scenes. Definitely. Yeah, they are good scenes. And I will always give him Chaplin, because I think Chaplin is absolutely magnificent what he does in that. Yeah. So maybe it is. Maybe it's just bloody Marvel.
I would say so. That'd be my opinion. But
I've not seen The Judge. I should watch The Judge. I've not seen that.
It's good. Val Kilmer. This was if he really wanted to do a comedy. So he got the script and instantly said yes. I don't know if this is true or not, or if this is apocryphal, but it was credited that Gay Perry is generally considered to be the first openly gay character to front a Hollywood action movie. And I don't know if that's like the caveat is it's a Hollywood action movie and he's openly gay, and he's the first openly gay or considered I don't know if that's true or not, but I read that and I thought, I
read that and I wasn't sure if it's true, but I've not had time to go back and
I was like, discredit it. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if
I'm not sure I believe. I can't believe that. I can't believe it took till 2005. I really can't. For there to be an openly gay main character in a Hollywood film.
But no, in a Hollywood
in an action film movie. In an action film.
But then again, what I do think about is there's Con Air, where there's one of the actors in Con Air is playing. I think they're playing a trans character. So I guess that's not gay. That's trans, and that's the thing. I don't know.
There is. There is.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. I don't know if
I'm not sure about that.
But
someone can let us know if somebody knows if that is true. So they can let us know. But I love the fact he's called Gay. He's called Gay Perry. I love that because I mean, what a great name that is.
Yes. Yeah.
Gay Perry.
Gay Perry. Yes.
That is just genius. It's so simple.
Oh, it's fantastic.
So simple, but so brilliant.
It sticks with you.
It does, yeah. And every time somebody says it in the film, I smile at, something. That's a great joke.
And I totally get why Kilmer wanted to do comedy, because he is fucking hilarious.
He is brilliant in this. And the delivery, the quick delivery.
Who taught you grammar?
Who taught you grammar? Yeah, that's it. Look up idiot in a dictionary and you know what you'll find. I love that argument.
No, the definition of idiot.
Yeah, which is what you are. Yeah. And do you think like Find My Pistol when they drain the lake? That sort of because he is savvy, and he's
yes,
and clever, and
Where's my
it's just
gun?
a brilliant turn from Val Kilmer. This I instantly like straight to the top of the list of favorite films of his, favorite performances, because he is absolutely brilliant and perfect in it. And I knew he could do comedy because he's in a film called Top Secret. Have you seen Top Secret?
No.
Well, it's one of the last of the sort of airplane films.
Oh, okay.
And he plays like it's Elvis, for want of a better word. He plays a rock and roll star, but the hair is quiffed like Elvis's, and he dances like Elvis. I mean, it's not as funny as Airplane, but it's quite funny still, and he is brilliant in that as well. So he has got a comic touch, And a couple of years after he did Top Secret, he was bloody Jim Morrison. I mean, you can't get much further.
Yes.
Talk about actors' range. You can't get much wider apart than Top Secret and The Doors. So it was good to see him back in comedy. It was good to see him and doing it so well. Doing it so well. His delivery is rapid, like a machine gun, but he's word perfect every time, and each line lands for me.
It does. I'm looking at his quotes now, and you can just read him, and you just think like you can just hear that perfect delivery where he's, Harry's like, Perry, he's like, yeah, he's like, I peed on it. What? You peed on what? I peed on the corpse. I'm sorry, you peed on. Like, it's just like, it's like, no. My question is, I gotta go first. Why in the purple? I can't even pronounce the word.
Why in the blue perfect hell would you pee on a corpse?
Blue perfect hell. There we go. Would you pee on a corpse?
And I love this. Go sleep badly. Any questions? Hesitate to call.
Yes. And then you have that bad. No, it's sleep bad. And it's like, no, badly is an adverb. You dumb fuck. Whoever taught you grammar? Who the fuck taught you grammar?
He's so good in it. And I like when they're torturing Harry with the electricity, and he starts making like gay remarks to the heavy about it. You just like seeing his Jonathan. It's so good. It's so well done and so well delivered.
Yes, he really seriously stands out. It's a top-notch performance from Kilmer that I just. It's one that I'm like, I need to revisit this more often because he is so good. I mean, I like Robert Downey Jr. I think he's a very good actor, but Kilmer for me is the one that really stands out between the two.
Yeah, he does.
And I don't know if that's because I think I must have seen Iron Man and Sherlock Holmes before I saw Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. That must be how this is played out. So I was used to Robert Downey's downiness. Whereas Val Kilmer for me is Iceman and Batman. Those are my two touch points for Val Kilmer, And so seeing him in this doing what he's doing, I'm just like, oh my God, this is
and I love the line where Harry says, "Is she dead?" They pulled the girl out of the lake, and he says, "Is she dead?" And he says, "No, she's just resting her eyes."
Of course, she's fucking dead. Her neck's broken.
Her neck's broken. It's one of the. I'll tell you what I always measure. Well, measure a performance on, I suppose, is can you imagine anyone else doing it? And I can't really, and I can't see anyone but Kilmer do this.
Yeah,
and that for me is a major plus in his, on his side. I think it's
definitely
it's a performance and a half. This, and it's absolutely spot on. And you said earlier he just happens to be gay. He does just happen to be gay because you wouldn't. They don't make a big deal of it, do they? And
no,
and that's to the film's credit. And he plays it brilliantly. Plays it absolutely brilliantly.
Yes.
Just loving the way he dresses and all the rest of treating Harry like dirt, really, until they start.
Idiot that he is.
The idiot that he is. Yeah. I think it's just a a great performance.
Yeah,
great performance.
Well,
he should have got an award for it.
Yeah, I mean, what Black was wanting to do with Gay Perry's, his whole thing was he's like, well, I don't really see, how often do you see, kind of openly gay PIs who are, kicking down doors and, doing the tough guy thing. And
why shouldn't they?
Yeah, it's true. It's like, it's fair enough. Like, you don't really see that. And so he's like, yeah, so I wanted to do that. And I think that was a really good thing to do. It's, it defies stereotypes, which is great. That is exactly what you want.
Because why shouldn't a private eye kicks down the doors and solves the case and gets into brawls and gets into danger? Why shouldn't he be a gay character?
Now, I think Mark Gatiss, who co-created Sherlock and stuff, he did write a series of books, a couple of books that featured a gay detective. But
gay James Bond, a gay James, Lucifer Box, they're grateful.
Yeah, which I definitely would have come out after this. But yeah, no, I thought, I like that. I like that. I like that Shane Black just. He knows, he writes interesting characters, and I like this whole, earlier we were talking about that whole concept of it's confronting questions that you have as a writer, questions you have in your own mind. In an interview, he was saying, this is, I must, he wasn't saying that he was gay, but he was saying that I clearly have questions. I clearly had questions, and this was a way of sort of exploring those questions, or battling with the, not battling, but examining these two sides and my thoughts on some of this stuff. And you can see it with Riggs and Murtaugh, that sort of racial divide that is kind of a big theme in those films. And yeah, but I like the fact that he doesn't, he explores interesting ideas, but he can wrap them in these absurd, funny, but dark stories that you are on a constant roller coaster of emotion, of, oh my God, I'm cracking up right now. Oh my God, this is so tense. Oh my God, this is a really moving scene. Like, he just knows how to nail stuff, which I guess on that note, we can kind of dive a bit more into the story now that we've, covered a shit ton of other stuff. But I mean, for example, we'll take there's one scene, we don't have to go through like linearly the storyline, but there's one scene that really stands out to me as like a really important moment in the film. And not important in the way people say it on Twitter, but like an actually important bit of commentary. And that's when Harmony's character is lying in bed and there's a spider on her chest. And he kind of Harry freaks out, and he kind of slaps at it to get it to go away, and it like goes like into her bra or something like that. And then he's like trying to, lift up her bra to see if he can find it and get it out. And he's trying to do a gentlemanly thing. Right.
Yes.
That is what he's trying. He's not trying to cop a feel. He's not trying to grab her tit. Nope. But then she wakes up and she's like, "Fucking hell, Harry, what are you doing? You're trying to grab my tit?"
What are you doing?
And he's like, he's like, no, I swear I'm not. It's just blah 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 blah. And she's like, "Oh, never mind. It's fine. And he's like, "What do you mean it's fine? What are you talking about? You thought I just tried to grab your tit, and you're telling me that it's fine?" Like, And he's like, "What kind of person are you?"
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, that is, and it speaks so heavily to Hollywood culture. And and this is well before Me Too, and now we're in a very
way before Me Too,
post Me Too movement. But it's like, people were just accepting these things, and he's like, "What the?" It's not him saying what's wrong with you, as in Harmony, but he's like, "What is wrong with you, Hollywood?" That is how I took that scene to be.
Me too.
You are
Me
okay
too.
with this level of disgustingness.
Yeah, well, he says it to her. Oh. I took it as that, but he says it to her because she is part of it, and wants to be part of it, and wants to be part of it. And because it made me think, how many producers, powerful producers, has Harmony come across?
Well, exactly.
You know? And that's a serious issue. That's an important issue that has been brought to light since, you know, but he's on it before it was brought to light. He's on it before it was a thing. And she will, because she's an aspiring actress, so she's not made it yet. So she's still in that danger zone of creepy men, you know, creepy producers. And that's what I said. I said to myself, that's why she says it's fine, because it's just a daily occurrence for her that she has to suffer and just put up with. So I took it as Harry then saying, what are you talking about? You know, what is wrong with you people? You know, and whilst at the same time, this is what I think he's got. Whilst at the same time, it builds to that moment, but it starts with Harry trying to do a gentlemanly thing, as you say. But because he is so hapless, he makes a mess of it. You know, he's trying to do an honourable thing.
Yes.
But fails. So his intentions are good, but his execution is terrible.
Yes.
And that's a joke in itself. But what that leads to is a very serious point about the theme of the film. If you can't see that's great writing, I don't know what will convince you great writing is.
Two things on that. One of the things that Black was really trying to do with this film, and I think he did it in very successfully, was he wanted to subvert the mythic PI hero. So there's that one scene early on in the party where Harry sees some guy fondling Harmony, and he has that really great speech where he's like, you know, back the fuck away, or you know, you'll regret it. And then what happens every time there is a moment like that, where there's a hard-boiled moment where he's doing the Russian roulette, you know, and you expect the thing to click, 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 click. It is always subverted with some sort of, not necessarily a joke, but a moment where the hard-boiled cliche of the tough guy being cool and successful is always undermined. So he says that thing to that guy in the party. The scene smash cuts to him being beaten up in the lawn.
Getting an absolute shit kicks out of him.
He does that Russian roulette thing, thinking he's going to be a badass, and he shoots the guy straight away. Oh God.
Well, those two scenes illustrate perfectly what you're saying, because one is undermining the PI expectation, and the other is a joke.
Yes. Now,
and a funny joke.
Yes. And the other thing, kind of backing on to what we were saying with that scene with Harmony, is there was just an article the other day, an interview with Rosamund Pike, who was talking about her audition for Die Another Day. And in her audition, they told her to strip down to her underwear. And she was just sort of like, what? And I believe she actually did it, but she was sort of almost, you know, kind of taken aback with herself that she actually was willing to do that. And you know, this is 2002 when that came out, so this is say about a year and a half even before. So this is the Hollywood that Black is currently writing about in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yeah, absolutely.
This kind of stuff, but I want to know what were some of your favorite scenes.
Well, pretty much anything with Val Kilmer in. I loved the whole Lady in the Lake chapter. I thought that was superb.
Yes.
I did actually like the audition scene.
It's really good.
Thought that was ace, and again, because it's a comedic situation. That the mistaken identity is a comedic setup, but the reason he gets the role is a very dark one, and it's because it's genuine guilt. It just so happens that the script he's reading is a bloke whose partner's been shot.
Yeah,
that we've just seen happen. That is as a way to sell a stupid. I'm going to say stupid, but you know what I mean, like a very false comedy setup. As a way to sell that, that's a brilliant way of doing it.
Yes.
Yeah. And I just loved that. I loved that. I love the scene I love the party that you just talked about where he shows he can be tough, but then gets his ass handed to him. I think that is a brilliant scene. The whole Lady in the Lake chapter, and I liked this. I like the whole losing the finger sequence with the dog running around with it in its mouth and stuff. And I liked Harmony's breakthrough when she starts to take control, when she gets attacked by the guy in the park and nuts him, and then gets into the truck and like she's jumping off the bridge, and then she gets into the truck and she starts to drive, and she has the accident with the coffin and stuff. I loved all that. I thought that was great stuff.
Yeah, let's talk about Harmony for a minute, actually, because we haven't done that. Michelle Monaghan, I love her so much.
I think she's brilliant. Yeah,
a fantastic actor. She's in a lot of movies. I mean, she's obviously in this. She then goes on to be Ethan Hunt's love interest in Mission Impossible 3, and then she rocks up again in Mission Impossible Fallout. Also has a bit of a cameo in the Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. And obviously we talked about her extensively in our Bad Monkey review because she was the kind of femme fatale in that. As I said there, I say again, like she's someone she looks like she should be Emma Stone's sister. They look so much alike.
Yeah,
they have this very particular kind of face, mouth, eyes structure that makes them. It's like they're stunning, but there's also like a quirk to them. But it adds to their. It's a cute quirk. You know what I mean? It's
yeah, definitely. I know I know exactly what you mean, because I think she is lovely. she's beautiful, but she is absolutely brilliant as well, and she's great in this. I mean, again, like Kilmer, she is giving some killer dialogue at 100 miles an hour, and never once does it sound like rehearsed dialogue. And that sounds like a stupid thing to say, but there are some actors that you can tell they're acting. It doesn't feel spontaneous always. It does with her in this. I think this is another killer performance, and she should have got some sort of award for this as well.
Something, she's so much conviction in her performance the whole time. Like she is
the whole time.
She starts as this sort of. She really is sort of set up as a possible femme fatale. She's you kind of don't know if you can or can't trust her, or then she kind of becomes because she comes to Harry after they've had their little meet cute, which I absolutely loved, the way she sort of goads him on at the bar before he walks away, and she's like, "Do you not recognize me, you dumb idiot?" But then once someone then he thinks she's dead, but then suddenly she rocks up and it was actually her sister, and then she comes to Harry and she's like, "You're a PI, I need you to help solve this case." Then she becomes the client, and you're sort of like, "Ooh, something, is she going to turn?" But she's a very cool and competent and intelligent individual who is she kind of is helping to service the she's the one who solves the case. Gabe Perry's
solves it.
She solved the damn case. We got to go make sure she's okay, because they're gonna and then they are the ones, again, that subversion of the hard-boiled hero. They think, oh, we got to go protect the girl, and she's like, I was up in the hills and my phone had bad service, while they're being captured by Dexter or whatever his name is. So for me, I just loved her character. I loved her character. She wasn't a femme fatale, that she was, that she was instrumental in solving the case, and that she brought something to the role other than just she's not just there for sex appeal. No,
absolutely. Awesome. I read a review that said, it might have been Empire actually, but I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth. But they ended the review by saying, by wanting a sequel. That's the gist of it. And they said, we see no reason why these three characters can't become the sort of Bob Hope, Bing Crosby, and Dorothy Lamour from the road movies in the 40s and the 50s. And they're like a three a threesome in different, not necessarily in the same roles, but different roles with each other throughout a series of films, playing different things. And I'm not sure I won't be on board for that, because the chemistry between the three of them, she is not a spare wheel. She is not by any means a love interest in the usual way. She has her own agency. She has her own character, and she has her own arc, and she has her own scenes, and she has her own purpose. And she, this isn't a buddy cop movie. This is a trio in my book. This is a. It might ostensibly be about the two men, but it's not for me. It's about her as well. She's as much in it as they are, and I think it's a stellar performance. And she's in the way she thinks on her feet when he tries to phone for help, doesn't he, Harry? When he's in one of his, and they say he's just asked for help from is it the dry cleaner or somebody, the cleaning service, and when it cuts, it's her, and she's thought on her feet to. She's on it. I mean, that alone says a lot of what you need to know about her. But she's also in one of them. I laughed out loud when is he called? What's he called? Proto-Cop or something?
The RoboCop knockoff. The
RoboCop knockoff, and he's the actor in the suit, and she catches him in the apartment. He falls off the balcony. She's brilliant in that as well. It's great. Great setup.
God, it was I loved that. I love that. Every scene she was in, she's just the way she holds her own against, because Downey's a great actor. Val Kilmer's a great actor. She is up there with the greats.
Absolutely.
I really like that scene where again, this is kind of back that subversion of the masculine hero getting what he wants, and there's a scene where she's stripped down and in bed, and she's like, you can sleep in here but nothing's gonna happen, and he's like, all right, I'll give it a go, and then and very quickly he's like, oh well, nothing's gonna happen, and then she does all the male fantasy things. She offers to jerk him off, they start making out. And then she's like, oh, before we do anything, I fucked your best friend.
Yeah.
And then she's been thrown out of the room because the one thing that he said was, don't fuck my best friend, because she was in high school and they knew each other or whatever. That was he always liked her, but she never, they can never be together because she's with other people, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, but he looks sad. He looks sad.
He looks sad. Yeah. Yeah. And she says it totally unapologetically.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Brilliant.
And which I think is good. It's good that she's unapologetic because she doesn't need to be apologetic.
No, she doesn't. Absolutely. No, that wasn't a criticism. That was a praise.
Exactly. No, I know.
Because absolutely, because he's got no right. He has no right to be offended by it. Absolutely.
Exactly.
And I like the bit where it cuts and it says to like the high school photos, and it says me. He circled his own head and said me, circled hers and said her. And then the bloke that she sleeps with, he circled and put some asshole. It's just so good. So good.
Yes.
I go so Val Kilmer is my favorite in this. He's my favorite character in this, and it's my favorite performance. But Michelle Monaghan is a very, very close second in both stakes. In both stakes, I would watch this for Harmony as much as I'd watch it for Gay or Harry. Anytime.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is a trio that is kind of a match made in heaven, and then you're like, these three should have done more. They should have done more. It's a shame that they didn't do more. Because I think she is in. Like I said, I think she's in Due Date? She's in Due Date, and she's playing Downey's wife. The thing is, they don't really have any scenes together because the whole premise of Due Date is she's in LA giving birth, and he's stuck on the other side of the country and he's got anger management problems. He gets into a fight with someone on the plane and gets kicked off and gets blacklisted, so he can't, no fly list. So then he has to drive across the country with a character played by Zach Galifianakis, who is you know, he's it's the odd coupling again sort of situation, but he's a sort of quirky, awkward individual, and you know, it's a, you know, odd couple scenario, but in a you know, a road journey sort of narrative. But they don't really have any scenes until the end, and she doesn't really have that big of a part in the film. And I'm like, it's a shame, because, you know, this is kind of their repairing after kind of, you know, 4 or 5 years, and it would have been cool if you know,
and like
a little bit more.
Just a little bit more, yeah. And I'd like to see Val Kilmer in it as well. I think the three of them, when the three of them are together, yeah, this is a cliche, but it is electric. The screen is on fire. And I would watch, you know, all the scenes. I think most of the scenes in this film are really good. When Downey Jr. and Kilmer are together, it's brilliant. But when she's in there as well, it is knockout.
Yes.
You know, really, really good.
Now, I also quite enjoyed the fourth wall breaking elements of this film. One in which, like, if you're not paying attention, it's kind of like, okay, you know, this film gives away who the bad guy is at the very beginning of the movie. But you sort of forget as you go along, because you're so caught up in everything else that is happening. Which is it's bold, because it's sort of like you need to make sure that you are burying that lead that you just exposed. You know, because there's that scene. It's at the scene at the party place, at the party house, where, you know, Robert Downey's character makes the comment like, "Oh, geez, you know, why did we stop the film there and tell you all this stuff? Like, oh, is it going to come back later? Probably, you know."
I
like,
all that.
Fun. It's fun because it's playing with the PI narration. You know, that the hard-boiled narrator is normally first person, past tense, recounting events, sharing stories, sharing, you know, bits of asides. You know, but I also love the fact that Harry's narration goes off the rails. He starts saying one thing and then goes down this rabbit trail, forgetting what his actual point was meant to be. Yeah.
Two things on that. Again, it's another trope that is played with, and that is the voice, the noir voiceover. But it's so incompetent, you know, and it's brilliant. It's a funny one, and I have a love-hate relationship with voiceovers, as you know. But this one I think really worked, and I love the bit especially where he said he has to stop the film to say, "God, this is like my dad telling a joke. I've left out a really crucial bit of information." You know,
yes,
my dad tells a joke that says, you know, a guy rides into a town on a horse and then gets into the joke and says, "Oh, I should have told you it's a pink horse." You know, like, Jesus, Dad, you've ruined the joke. You know, and he says, "No, I'm doing the same thing." That is a brilliant bit. Brilliant.
Yes, I loved it, and I even at the end. I mean, when, you know, there's the big shootout on the highway, which is a terrific scene. I love that action scene is great. The sort of, you know, he's chasing, you know, Harmony is falling down the hill, and Gabe Harry's been shot, and then he gets, you know, thrown. He has to jump off the bridge because he's going to get run over if he doesn't. It's all so great, but then, you know, Gabe Harry dies. He blatantly dies. And then they get to the hospital after all that kind of stuff has settled down, and they're like, you know, they then sort of doing that commentary on Hollywood endings of how, oh, it's so stupid, everyone who dies, like, they actually all live, and then they bring in Gabe Harry, but then they start bringing in everyone else, like the pink hair girl who died, the gangster guys who died, and, you know, and then the nurse has to usher them all out of the room, but keeps Perry because he actually did live. You know, and it's like, it's just funny because, like, oh, the self-awareness of that and playing with that in a way that's, you know, that, you know, the film knows that it's undermined a significant death in the movie, but then did it, and then was able to make such a good joke out of it that you're also kind of relieved that Perry's not dead, because he's such a cool guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I was over the moon. I was over the moon that he wasn't dead.
I kind of forgot that he died at the end, actually. It's been so long since I was like, he can't die.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perry? Not Perry.
Yeah, and again, that's a sign of a good character and a good performance, that you're that invested. You know, that you're that sort of in love with them that You don't want them to die. You don't want them to go. You know, it's just great stuff. Just great stuff. But and I've always liked fourth wall breaking. You know, it's always made me smile. But when it's done properly, you know, when it's done properly. Because I used to love things like Police Squad, you know, and all that business.
Yes.
So, you know, I always sort of smile when someone breaks the fourth wall.
Yes.
And the minute Downey Jr. starts doing it, saying the same things like you said, I mean, that is all this going to be important later on? Probably. I mean, that is cheeky writing, isn't it? That is very sort of near the knuckle. And
yes.
And I love the fact the film is confident enough to do it. And I don't think the self-awareness, and I don't think the self-deprecation ever goes too far. Sometimes it can become a bit labored. Sometimes it can become a bit.
Well, just go watch Wolverine and Deadpool, or Deadpool and Wolverine,
really?
whatever that film's called. And this, I love the first two Deadpool movies are great. That third one is so stupid and self-indulgent with that fourth wall breaking that it just ruins it. It's not funny anymore.
Yeah, it stops being funny. That's exactly it. And it becomes tiresome. If you do it too much, it becomes tiresome. This film has got it just right. My not necessarily fourth wall breaking, but my similar experiences of that phenomenon is the BBC Sherlock, the Gatiss and Moffat Sherlock, that started off with such a clever premise and some clever touches, but then just went totally up its own arse and became self-indulgent and thought it was being funny when really it was being really irritating. You know, and
exactly.
And I presume that Wolverine and Deadpool is the same.
It is. It's sad. It is a proper Disney movie, and it just reeks of Disney stupidity rather than what the first two films were, which actually had some heart and soul to them.
Yeah. Well, and this has got heart and soul, and the fourth wall breaking on this is done at just the right level and for just the right number of times for you to be glad it's returned. You know.
Yes.
And I think because it's not all the way through. It's definitely not all the way through. It's at the beginning. No, it's just the beginning and the end.
Little blips here and there.
Little blips here and there. And that's what I mean. Then you say, "Oh yeah, I liked this at the beginning. This was good." And then at the end, when they finish it off, all great stuff, you know. And Kilmer's addressing the audience, telling you how to drive home and all that business, you know. I think it's all that is great. I love that. And I love the whole meta thing of. Again, meta's overdone. It's overdone these days, but I love the whole meta thing of we know we're in a film sort of thing. It's it's very sort of Martin Amis and London Fields, where all the characters know they're in a novel. You know, that's when that's done well. I find that really satisfying, and this film does it. Does it so well.
It does. I mean, there's very few things I could really fault this film with. I mean, a bit of, I suppose, a bit of trivia with this is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was named Overlooked Film of the Year by Phoenix Film Critics Society in 2005. In 2006, Empire Magazine named it the best thriller, which totally agree. You know, it really is sort of a sleeper hit. Where it is so good, it should have been like the Nice Guys. This should have been massive, fucking massive. And it's a shame that it's not. It's a shame that both of these films didn't generate a sequel or two, because you know, Black he's on the record of saying, of course there's ideas. There's always ideas. I would love to have done something more with these guys, you know? And I would have been down with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Both these films, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and The Nice Guys, both deserve at least one sequel each. At least. Possibly two. After that, I wonder. But because, you know, the fourth film is often one too many in it. But I reckon they could have got a trilogy out of both of these sets of characters easily.
Yeah.
And it's a crying shame when you think of all the sequels that we get that we don't want. and don't need.
Yes.
It's a crying shame. I think we said it on our Nice Guys episode that it's a sad day when you get a load of sequels that nobody's really interested in, but they make a load of cash because there's nothing else to watch when you could have had sequels to these.
It's very true. I did notice a few things, just a few things of note as I was watching this, and I it's interesting that I've kind of picked up on certain things that Black sort of returns to in his noir pieces. And going back with Lethal Weapon through to Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and through to The Nice Guys, you have a daughter who is embroiled in some sort of issue. There's always a bit of a drug component. There's a bit of a drug component involved, and there's a bit of a porno element involved. And because we got that with Lethal Weapon with the first girl we see at in that penthouse who jumps off, and then
jumps off,
connected to a character that Murtaugh knows. There's also that kind of sour daughter relationship a little bit where, not that Riggs and Murtaugh, or not that Murtaugh has a sour relationship with his daughter, but there's some strainedness every once in a while. But you also get it heavily in The Nice Guys, where Holland's daughter is struggling with her dad and his ability to handle himself. But it's interesting that he uses these ingredients in just about all of these films, but to vastly different conclusions. Whereas when I watch certain things, like say back in my days when I used to watch a lot of Doctor Who with Stephen Moffat stuff, I could then very quickly catch the Moffat-isms, and they made my eye roll because it just was the same gag played the exact same in different things. Whereas I found it interesting that Black seems to have these sorts of ideas that are all very, very standard, hard-boiled novel ideas. The daughter with nudie pics and all that kind of stuff. Someone embroiled in a porno thing, drugs. It's all really. It's not that that's not a novel idea. It's all standard of the genre. But I just found it fascinating that he uses them all throughout his sort of noir films, and at no point do I feel like, oh my god, this again. It's more like, oh, this is. I like the way you played with this time. This is a fun way of playing with these ideas.
Exactly. Yeah, and there are very few writers that you can say that about. I mean, generally speaking, crime stories are fundamentally the same thing, aren't they? But when a writer can produce the same plot, but you don't know it's the same plot until you really sit down and think about it. I mean, you've only got to look at some of Agatha Christie novels and see that she uses the same plot. I can think of the Death on the Nile plot is reused at least 4 times that I can think of off the top of my head now. But you don't know it is. And that's clever. That's clever.
Yeah.
Because it is too easy to say, well, is this all you've got in your deck?
Yeah.
So the fact he does things, he has the same, themes, I suppose, or the same motivations, perhaps. But they all end up with different conclusions, like you say. That is mark of writing that is worth paying attention to. And I know what you mean about the Moffat-isms. There's always the same thing coming out. I'm not Doctor Who at all, but you can see it just in Sherlock. And you can see it in the Jekyll and Hyde thing that he did with. There are jokes in
Jekyll and Hyde, Sherlock, and Doctor Who that are all
the same.
Oh God, this is the same joke you did in the same 3. It's the same jokes, sir. Stop it.
Stop now. Stop.
It's that gif of Michael Jordan. Stop. Get help.
Whereas if he set the same joke up but gave you a different punchline in each series, then you could maybe live with it. I think it's still become tiresome after a while. But doing something different with the same setup is he's clever. I think he's clever. I think because it
it's
means
all about
that you don't
characters. It's all about because he invents very wildly different characters that have a black flair to them, but they're wildly different, and I think that's partly what makes it work.
Yeah, because the two characters in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, given the same circumstances, would react and deal with them differently to the two characters in The Nice Guys, or to the two characters in Lethal Weapon. And that, you're right. That's why it goes to character, because it might be the same situation or the same whatever it might be, but how they react to it and handle it and get out of it, because they are different people. They are very different people. Will in itself therefore be different, and it's fabulously done. It's fabulously done. It's good character work, and it's often overlooked character work because people think character work's all about the sort of internal angst and all that business, but it's not. It's about making decisions, and it's about dealing with obstacles. Some people charge straight through them, some people go around them, some people go over them. That's what makes people different. That's what makes people varied, and that's what makes fictional characters varied.
Definitely. Do you have any dislikes?
I don't know. I'm struggling to think of one. I'm struggling to think of one that really stands out. Where I rolled my eyes or I thought, I really am struggling to find something that. I mean, the plot is perhaps overly complicated. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I was gonna say that would be one of mine. It is overly complicated.
I'm not sure I really know who's done what to whom, but
there are moments.
but you can say that about some of the best noir, can't you? You can say that about Chandler. For God's sake.
You can.
I don't necessarily think that is in noir a bad thing necessarily, or a destructive thing, perhaps. If you're writing a golden age mystery and you don't know what's going on, then you've lost your market completely. But in noir, it's not really. It's more about the people in it. Noir is always more about the people and the situations that they're in than a cohesive plot that you are able to solve yourself, perhaps. So I will confess that sometimes I thought, I don't really know what's going on now. But every time I had a thought like that, Kilmer made me roll off the settee laughing.
Yeah,
and I'd stopped caring. So
yeah, I think one of the few things that I found complicated is, the lady in the lake scene. They pull the lady out and he pulls her skirt down and he notices she's not wearing underwear. That then somehow leads to a revelation that Dexter's daughter was in an insane asylum.
Yeah.
And I will be honest, I've seen this film many times. I'm still a little bit uncertain as to how it landed there. Now, maybe other people have watched it and they picked up on it. It did slip past me this time, at least, because I'm like, wait a minute, how did they? I'm not going to go back and watch this whole film just to find out, No. But that was one thing I kind of thought. What was the
plot-wise
that made that work? I'm not sure.
The plotting is loose, though. I mean, it's fair to say the plotting is loose. But I think there are compensations, really.
Oh no, there definitely are.
And I bet if I sat down tomorrow to watch this again, specifically to find out, so I could text you tomorrow to say, well, the clue to the sanatorium was X. I bet I still wouldn't see it because I'd be so carried away again. With the characters and the relationships and the repartee and the spark and the showiness of it all, that I think I'd miss it again if it's even there. I don't know if it's even there.
Yeah. But other than that, I don't really have any other criticisms. It's a very, very light criticism. But
I haven't. The story is all over the place as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. But
the story is a rom-com between Harry and Harmony. and
yes,
how that blossoms and then shrivels by the end. That's really the story that just has a murder mystery in there.
Just has a murder mystery somewhere in it.
Yeah,
but I'm
that's
not sure
what made
what
it work.
Yeah, but yeah, absolutely. And going back to what we said right at the beginning, that's what he intended it to be originally, as a rom-com. So and then he just decided he had to put a murder in it, and that's what he does. That's what you get. That's what you get.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a cracker. It's an absolute cracker, and I, my initial reaction to it is completely overridden watching it again, because I think I did watch it under unfair circumstances.
True. Cool. Well, I think we should rate this fella.
Yeah.
So, as you may know, we rate all of our films out of 1 to 5 Falcons, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Matt, we'll start with you. What would you give Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
Solid 4.
Same. It's a solid 4 Falcons for me as well. What can I say? I've said it all already.
We've said it all already. Yeah. I won't break down how many of those Falcons are for Kilmer alone, but but I think it's a solid 4, and no more need be said about that. I don't think.
Yes, I agree. It's a great film. This is one that's worth owning. Go buy it.
Absolutely. Don't
do a digital copy. Go buy a real DVD. Add it to your physical media collection, because don't rely on digital collections. But it's one of the greats. It's one of the greats, and I'm glad we could add another Shane Black to our investigations. But I think we've thoroughly investigated Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yeah, I think so.
It's time to we'll put this file away and consider it done and dusted. But we will be back next week with another case. So if you can, in the meantime, like and subscribe and leave us reviews on Apple and Spotify. They do really help us out. And in the meantime, remember to take care walking down those mean streets.